Now, this won't take long. So, this is like a little side story as I've been like deep diving into Alabama history between 1820 to 1830. Now, you got to think that's an important time frame because they don't get there, as far as YT folks, they don't get there until after 41,000, until after 1820, where 41,000 people just pop up. So you have a bunch of just empty space, right? And so if your people are tied to Alabama area before 1820, you pretty much know you've been there forever, right? But they don't really have much there. But regardless of that, after 1820, you got to think it's 1865 where slavery is ended. So even if your people were so-called enslaved, if they were, and that's a whole trickery, especially in these states, it would have been no longer than 1820 to 30, 40, 50, 60, 45 years. So why am I talking about that and showing you this? Well, let's read. It says, hey, this is in 1821. Just as these niggas got, I say niggas, but just as these white folks got to the area where they all of a sudden discovered 40,000 people plus. But you're going to see in here that this boy talks about coming from a different location, Virginia. But regardless of that, you don't see a drop in numbers of 41,000, even though you do see some of these. And you only see, there's only 650 newspaper clippings with the word slave in it between 1820 to 1830. So there ain't no slave sales going on like crazy. It should be a liquidation sale on niggas, right? But regardless, let's just read this one in particular. So it says, taken up by the subscriber on the 23rd, a Negro boy who says his name is William, that he is free. That he is free. Okay? And came from Virginia to this country with a Mr. Smith who discharged him after the time had expired for which he was bound. Wait a minute. I thought slavery was a for life thing. Or I thought if it wasn't for life, you had to pay to get out, which of course makes it not a for life thing. So I don't know why people would say you had to be a perpetual slave for life when you had the ability to pay to get out. You also got to think, why do people pay slaves in the first place? But regardless of that, you also have a time that people could be bound. You mean like indentured servitude? I thought that was only given to YT folks. But here you clearly have a Negro boy who says he was bound for a certain time that had expired, had been discharged, and he is free. Okay, let's read. He is about 21 years of age. And 5 feet 2 inches, 2 to 3 inches high. The owner, if he is a slave, notice they put that in quotation. Hey, the owner, if he's a slave, can receive him by applying to the subscriber, Thomas Blake Jr., in Mobile, Alabama. So you got to think about it, man. First of all, you got this free person who had a time that was expired from being a slave in the newspaper. He was somehow caught up in Alabama because I guess they thought he was a slave. That should also let you know that for whatever reason in Alabama, they were looking at everybody as a slave, right? You get me? You get me? Because in Virginia, slaves and other things within the English colonies had been going on at least possibly since the 1600s, right? At least that's the story. So they've had a system of being able to check people of whether or not you're free or not. So you mean to tell me when you get to another state that just became a state, they just started counting niggas that they say they found out of nowhere from no place else, and they're somehow counting them all of a sudden on the census as all of y'all are slaves? But then there's no reason why all of a sudden you get people who come into the state who might have free papers, they get looked at as if he's a slave. And so they take him up, and now he's got to prove whether or not he's free or wait for a subscriber or whatever had happened. But on top of that, on another page, 1825 is the year, you get people being emancipated a mulatto. By 1825, in Act to Emancipate, this person slave. And there's several other spots on this paper where people were being emancipated. But my thing is this: you just got there in 1820-ish, 1818, 1817, maybe. It's only 1825. How are people already being able to be emancipated? Similar process, but now it makes me wonder what's the difference in between being emancipated and being manumitted. Both are setting you free, but typically, that's the thing too. I think I know. Typically, when you emancipate somebody, it's taking them out of the care of a person who was in their care, who you were under their care, versus a manumission of a slave, meaning you must have been not under somebody's care per se. You was their slave, and they have to manumit you. Well, that would make sense why possibly this boy's time expired at the age of 21 as he became an adult. Right? Maybe that's why he got his time expired from being not an emancipated or a ward of a person. I'm still going to have to look further into this. Definitely. But definitely, it adds another layer of complication to the story of slavery. And really, it helps to prove more so that it's not just as clear cut as they try to make it seem, because they be playing.